Today we're kind of going to be covering the top website mistakes I see. We're going to be covering 11 of them. It's going to be a really active demonstration going through I see as the problem all the time across people's various websites, and then the really easy changes you can make to make your website more accessible, visually appealing, functional. We're going to be covering things that kind of cover lots of those topics. Who am I? If you don't know who I am, my name is Ellie. I'm an American from Oregon originally, and I've been living in Belfast, Northern Ireland for 5 years. I was talking about before, my biggest passion is helping women to feel capable with technology and their businesses. And I kind of stumbled into that because I moved abroad and, to be honest, wasn't having the best time here at first. And I really wanted to be able to create a business that would allow me to go back and forth more often, spend more time with my family and friends and the sun in the United States. And decided, okay, well, I have all the relevant experience to start out as a VA. Started as a VA, almost instantly switched that to being a tech virtual assistant and helping women with software integrations and automations and email marketing tools and these kinds of things. And that's still a huge part of what I do, but I do it from a website lens now, where I help women when I design their websites. So I get to do that additional fun too, but then I make sure it's all integrated with their various tools and systems to save them time in business. So that's me. I dog sit for fun. So there's Coco in the background, probably at some stage here. And yeah, I cannot believe that I've been in business for 4 years already. I don't know where time has flown to. I left my day job in like September 2019, so only 6 months before the pandemic really struck with the Western world. And it's been a weird couple of years to be in business. So I'm really happy to still be here and kicking with all of you. So these are the 11 mistakes we're going to be covering. The 11 things I see most often is centered whole paragraphs, which I'll explain in a moment, but they're really hard to read. No hierarchy for long blocks of text, no calls to action, poor color contrast, not enough space between elements or items on your web page, no privacy or cookie policy, using Linktree instead of your own website, talking too much about yourself or the technical details of what you do, which we'll get into a bit more too, not encouraging newsletter signups, not providing social proof across your website, and not having pictures of you. So we're going to get into all of these things here shortly. So the next thing is I just have this website demo to show you. So I've created a page. I can actually create this page on every website I design. Now, obviously, I've gone and played with it, but I create a page on every website that I design called Sandbox. And it's essentially just a place for people to go and play around and figure out what they want to do in their website. It's a place where they can't break things, but they can test things out. So these are those same website nopes we've just talked about. So I just want to break down and by the way, feel free to ask questions as we go. You can either unmute yourself, or I'm going to hold up the chat box over here. There aren't a whole lot of us, so I don't have any problem with you just unmuting yourself and letting me know if you have a question. So we're going to cover the first two in one section of this page. You can probably see I've used this stuff called hipster ipsum. So lorem ipsum is just filler text, and so you can find various funny versions of it across the internet. So I've chosen a random hipster one, and you can see that this set of 5 paragraphs is pretty challenging to read for 2 reasons. One, they're all centered, and so your eye has to jump here to 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 read each paragraph, find the next line, and it's pretty tiring for our brains to do that, to jump around like that. So the first thing I would do with full paragraphs like this is left align them. And then from there, there's no hierarchy. It's even once it's left aligned, it's pretty like, okay, this is just a big block of text. Where does my brain even start to process or, excuse me, unpack this? So what I would typically do quite often would be to take the first line of a paragraph and put it, like start a new paragraph after it, and then make sure to use your headings. So in Squarespace, you have 4 different heading types and 3 different paragraph types. So keeping it really tidy in a way that, so it's a hierarchy. Imagine you're writing back in school a research paper, right? Or an outline. You're trying to help people's brains process the information and make it a little more skimmable so they can find what's most important. So if they're really interested into these freegan bicycle rides, then they could read the little bit of paragraph underneath. Or if they're more ready to be reading about hexagonal succulents, then maybe they'll read this section here, right? And then once you've got that, don't forget that to use your lists, right? So we also want to really tap into using bullet points when relevant or numbered lists. The only rule really to doing this is, again, keeping that hierarchy in mind. Don't just do them at random. And then the other part is you don't really want to use heading 1 anywhere except for once on a page, because that's a thing about SEO. Search engines will look at heading 1 and know that that's supposed to be what the main topic of the page is. So pretty much from heading 2 onwards is fair game. Now, if I were really doing this giant block of text and it wasn't a blog post or something, I would also want to add something visual in here. Maybe instead of having these as bullet points, I would put them as numbers, but I would do the numbers, and we can get into this a bit more. But again, if this was a proper block of text, maybe I would put the numbers in like this. So I'm just going to pick a random file here, but so let's just pretend that's the number 1, because I don't have numbers with me here, but put in number 1 and make that a card, right? And so number 1, actually, here's the thing, is I've got a really big screen here. So I may do it as a stack and then put 3 of those next to each other, right? So do another image, do another image, and you can imagine how this would look if I had 3 next to each other and it said 1, 2, 3, and then underneath it had that same content, right? To help people visually understand the 3 different things that are happening. So breaking things up with images, graphics, they don't always have to be pictures of yourself. They can be something you've mocked up in Canva. They can be icons. I use a lot of icons in my work, and you can find icons in Canva or from Flat Icon. There's actually loads of places around the internet that make them, the different graphics to kind of break up a text heavy area. So that's my first tip, is really left aligning things and making sure to kind of use the hierarchy and images when possible to break up big chunks of text. The next thing I see on websites all the time is not having any calls to action. So I'm going to use my own website here to show you what I mean by this. First, I'm going to save this. So if I were to go to my website here, I want you to see how many calls to action I have across my site. The homepage should have loads of them. And after that, I would steer to maybe 1 to 2 per page. But the homepage of your website should act like a directory. So you can see up here, I have a banner call to action that's, hey, shop this sale I'm doing. Over here in the top navigation, I have a call to action that says, let's get started. And that takes them to a place to book with me. And that is my main call to action across my website over and over and over again, is book a call with me. So here's another one here. Book a call, right? Learn about my services, check out my custom templates. Again, breaking up this idea, giving them sort of a flow chart of how working with me works, book a consultation. Learn more about me. This is I'm on a weird screen size, so this is not how my website always looks, but book a consultation. It's over there over and over and over again. You want to give people as many opportunities to do what you need them to do as possible. Subscribe to my newsletter. And that's just the one page. If I were to go to, say, my services page, it's got the 4 different ways you can work with me from my templates onward, and then it says, see examples of my work. Want to see people that I work with. If you're interested in other like copywriters or other things, there's a page there. And again, book a free call. That should be everywhere. So that's sort of my point. A lot of times people will just put the information out there and not tell people what to do next. Make sure you tell people what to do next. This is my about page. I need to add a call to action on this page right there and there. Both of those need a call to action. I will be doing that after this. I probably had one, but I edit my site all the time and things get moved. So you can see, listen to my podcast, check out this thing that I sell, read my blog. It's everywhere. And that's how your website should be. You really don't want to give people any opportunity to not take the next step with you. You want to make sure that it's everywhere so they don't have to go, if they've gone 3 pages further, if they've made it to your about page and then they're like, oh, great, now I've read about her. What do I do next? This is my bad here. The fact that I don't have a place for them to say, yep, I'm going to go for it. That they would have to go somewhere else on this page to find out how to take the next step with me. So loads of calls to action. That's the next thing. So the 4th thing that I see all the time is poor color contrast. This is a really good example. It's kind of an off-white on a yellow. It's really hard to read. It's bad for the eyes. If somebody had vision impairment or color blindness of some sort, this would be really, really hard for them to read. So make sure that you would only have a limited number of colors on your website in general, because that's good for brand consistency. It also means that your website looks cleaner and tidier and just better in general. But then also make sure that your colors are really high contrast. I would rather have black on this. You can read that then. Or if you were to use other colors, it's essentially should be a pretty dark color on a light color or a really light color on a dark color. That provides a lot of room for people to be able to read everything all the time. And that is, like I said, not just for easy readability, but for accessibility for people who might have vision impairment or color blindness. Making sure that that is really high contrast is really good. The 5th thing that I see all the time is not having enough space between elements. You can see I've put a bunch of random stuff into this one block, this one section of Squarespace. And you can see I haven't given much space or organization to them. They're kind of just in there. So if I were to be redoing this page, I would probably do something like maybe put the gallery next to the words. I would add a nice big spacer block in a couple different places to make sure that there's some room for the eye to digest what's happening before it has to jump to the next thing. And then obviously I put the spacer bar, the search bar in here without really any explanation, and this contact form. I would assume that this would invite people to the contact form. And then if there's this search bar and you need to put some sort of explanation behind it, says, maybe you say, or search the blog, and whatever it is, but essentially it's just giving enough space for people to process. And along those same veins, keeping in mind this height and width of these sections. Typically, I would not have a section on a Squarespace site that was more than 90% of the screen. The reason for that is because it gives people a lot more space to, again, process that information. If their eyes, sorry, Miran, I think you're unmuted. Thank you. So essentially, again, I need to kind of say that this isn't this really typical screen size. So I'm going to show you what this looks like more on a normal screen. So this is more of a standard screen dimensions. So I'm just going to pull that a little so you can see, because it's still the same dimensions. So essentially, if it's not all the way to the sides of the page, it again makes it a lot easier to read. So if you can see the difference between this and this, it just means your eyes don't have to strain as much, and it also is cleaner lines and space for your brain to process information. So that is the next thing. And then, so the next one, so 6, is that having no privacy policy or cookie notice. This is a legal requirement. You have to tell people how you're using their data, if you're using their data, how they can consent to it, what their rights are around their data. If you have anybody that uses your website anywhere from inside the EU or the UK. Now, that sounds a little intimidating, but there's some really great free resources across the internet. The first one is the ICO has a really great template. So I'm going to show you where to find it, because I can't actually just give you a link. So if you go to the ICO's website and go, see, this is a good example. They've got a cookie banner here for organizations. So if you're on the ICO's website, you go to for organizations, and they have right here, it says privacy notice template. And when you click that, it downloads a Word document to your computer. And the basics of it is a fill in the blanks kind of situation where, just a second, make sure this page, there we go. A fill in the blanks where it tells you, you put in your business information, how you manage data, and then you copy and paste it and make it a little bit prettier. This is exactly the template that the data regulation in the UK gives you as an example, and it's pretty easy. So other options, if you need other types of policies, because other policies, depending on your website, might be required. If you do e-commerce, you might need to have return policies or shipping policies, these kinds of things. Some types of businesses need to have terms of service listed on their website. So knowing your legal requirements is really important. Shopify has some really great free templates for various types of policies. If you just literally Google like free privacy generator, they've got a lot of good ones. I also really recommend, if you're in the UK, Coffee Clatch. Now these are for sale, but they are always updated and done by a team of UK lawyers. If you're outside the UK, Termly has some great options for you. And just making sure you are compliant. You will also see that on every website that I design, so I will go to, I'm trying to think of a website I've recently done. All the websites that I've designed also have this down here. And this is and in lieu of a cookie banner, because we don't use cookies on the websites I design, but it's to let people know, hey, we're using this cookie-free analytics tool instead, right? And so I use Plausible. If anyone is wanting to know what the tool that I use is, it's very, very affordable. I think it's like, I don't know, like £5 a month or something silly. And I use it across all of my client websites. So having a cookie notice, like that pop-up, is required, and having a privacy policy somewhere on your website that is probably linked to that cookie notice or linked in the footer of your website is also a legal requirement. You need to make sure that you're covering those parts. The next thing, the 7th thing I see all the time, and this is one of my like weird personal pet peeves, it drives me nuts, and I don't know why, but it does, is when people use Linktree instead of their own website. So when you're on Instagram or Twitter or whatever, you typically have one link place in your profile that you can share what you do, right? So we have all these tools out there, a lot of things have popped up. Canva has them, Later has them, Linktree is probably the most popular one. Oops. a second. That wasn't supposed to happen. That wasn't. Look what I've done. I was going to click on that, but apparently it doesn't link to a new window, which is another thing you should do on your website, which I'm usually much better about, is if you have a link to an external site on your website, have it open in a new tab. Oh, I'll get back to you, Eve, on that for in a second. But if you have a link to an external site, have it open to a new tab. And the reason for that is you don't want people leaving your website. So if you open resources you're mentioning in a new tab, that means that they will come back to your site once they're done reviewing that information. So typically I would do that. So let's open these in a new tab. So what looks better? This, and this is my old Linktree before I switched over. You can see I don't do VA stuff or anything anymore. Or this, which is totally on brand, right inside my website. And all I've done, and I have a YouTube video about this, but all I've done is create a private page on my website called Hello. So it's not linked in the main navigation. I've used a little bit of code to make all buttons the same size. And then I send people, to that link. That's it. It's so easy. And it's such a simple little thing, but you can direct your traffic to your own website, to your own analytics. You can brand it and design it however you want. Like I could have never had these buttons in burgundy on this site. It drove me nuts. So that's the big difference in using your own website versus something like Linktree. And I can add anything in here. I can add a picture of myself if I want to. I can add anything. I could add in a block that rotates through my latest blog post or podcast episode, whatever I want can go in here. So it's far more customizable and totally on brand. All right, this is another big one. Now, I am not a copywriting expert. Before I get here, actually, Eve, depends on your preferences, but I'd say no wider than 90% of the page width is my preference. And you can either change that in these individual blocks and sections, which is what I usually do here, or you can change that actually site-wide. You can actually change that site-wide in your site styles if you would like. Okay. So the other thing, number 8, we're getting there, we're over halfway through, is talking too much about yourself or the technical stuff about what you do. Writing your website copy can be one of the trickiest things you can do on a website. So here's my top tips. Your website in general, but especially your copywriting, can and should evolve. So don't stress about it being perfect. Mine definitely has places that I should update it. It's your business and you evolve, your website will too. The other things that you should remember about your copywriting is that you should write like you're talking to someone about your business. So keep it relatively in tone with your business, right? So if you're a lawyer, you're probably going to be talking more formally than me. But if you have a fairly informal business, if it's really just you as a person and you're not I hesitate to say like professional services because we do all do professional services, but something of a formality type thing. Essentially, don't use formal language. That's what I'm trying to say. You want people to think that you're a person. So use contractions, use the isms that you use. If you say ish a lot or write the word ish when you're talking to your friends, if you say things like techie instead of technical, use not the jargon, but the isms, the verbal things that you would actually say in real life. The other thing I want you to say is keep your client or customer at the center of everything you're talking about. Even your about page, which is in theory about you, should be about who you are and why you are perfectly poised to be the person to help them with their problem. So where it is about you, but it's about how you're the right person, right? And it's that walking that balance of like, hey, here's me, here's my expertise, with hey, here's me, I'm a real person that you can trust. And it's finding that balance. The way to make that probably the easiest is to focus on the transformation you provide people. People don't honestly, at the end of the day, care what you do. They don't really care that much how you do it. They sort of care why you do it. People do care why you do things, but mostly they want to know what you're like, how you're going to get them from A to B, right? So say you're a coach. How are you going to get them from confused and overwhelmed and not knowing what their next step is to centered, aligned, knowing that their business is right for them and on the right path? It's, for me, it's not selling, I give you a website, it's selling, I create simplicity in your corner of the internet. I create something beautiful and systematized, and we do that together. So keeping the transformation front and center will really help you. There's some free tools to get you started. Ashlyn writes, her YouTube is filled with so many good tips. I've been following her for genuine years, like so long, and she's so smart. Oh, that's loud, sorry. And she is Southern and American, but she's got so many YouTube videos that are categorized to whatever. So if you're looking for website copy, or if you're looking for SEO, or if you're looking for newsletter tips or sales pages, she's got you covered. Other resources I really like, if you're looking for specifically website copy, Jess does promptlets. So they're half prompts, half templates, and they will walk you through everything you need to know about, and all the information to provide you with not just the copy for your website without you having to go, oh gosh, what am I going to say? But also like really personality packed copy. Finally, Articulate Marketing has loads of tools around their website. They've got a lot of guides, a really good blog. They're really useful. I could name like 5 others. I love Danny Page. Like there's so many people that I love in the copywriting space. But just to get you a few started. Okay. The 9th problem I see a lot is not encouraging newsletter signups. So this should, at the very, very least, you should have something in your footer block, right? But I'm just gonna go ahead and open my website in another tab here. But in a better world, you would have it in more than one place. Like I haven't been promoting my newsletter very much in the last couple months, but if you go down my homepage, I've got a section that just says free resources, and that takes them to a page where they can download my Squarespace freebie, and that takes them to my newsletter. This workshop is a way that I'm recruiting, like sort of getting people on my email list. So if you have, I have working on a website at the moment. I'm just gonna pull it up for you if I can. Working on a website at the moment that on her homepage, we've got this. So doing a quick mock-up of whatever you're trying to share, you get people to sign up for, is a great way to help people see it. Now, this isn't a freebie in her case. She just gives this information willingly, like we have them embedded as readable PDFs. But that's the type of thing, thinking through getting people on your email list, because the thing about email lists is that they're brilliant. You have to be on social media at the right time, both to post and to receive, to see someone's news. You have to like have the inkling to go over to their website if you want to learn something about that. Whereas if you are invited into somebody's inbox, they are very likely to read what you have to say. Like I'd say 50% of people open almost every email that I send. And that's a pretty high conversion rate. And that's partially because of the types of emails I send and lots of things. But yes, being in someone's inbox is a huge, huge privilege. And if you can create an ethical and useful lead magnet, that is the key to earning that privilege. It's sharing something with them that makes them go, okay, not only is this like a good exchange for just my email, but also like, I think I might like being on this person's email list, right? Like they've got some valuable stuff for me to learn from them. So the other thing I would say is if you're going to do the whole freebie thing and email list, not only do you need to have signups around your website, but it's also important to advertise your freebie outside your website to try and pull people in. So that could be making sure you post about it on social media. It could be running a workshop link to it. It could be collaborating with somebody or going on a podcast where you talk about your freebie and give them a link to it. You just need to make sure you're talking about it elsewhere too. All right. Social proof. This is another biggie. The next two are things you are trying to prove throughout your website that you are a real person who's good at what they do, right? You know your shit. Like that's the end of the day. And so providing social proof across your website is essential. And so I've put in loads of pictures here about how I do it on my website in this below. But the social proof can include anything like testimonials. It can include a gallery of your work. It can include real data and numbers or graphs or charts. It can include logos of notable clients, case studies, a blog or a podcast, a portfolio, or press or media features. So here's a few that I have across my website. These are screenshots. I have a portfolio, and if you click into each one of these, it will show you a video of the website that I designed, like a recording that I've taken of a screen recording. It will also show you a testimonial from that client if I have one, screenshots from the website before the client changed it, because you want to do that as a designer. And so that's my portfolio. I have it there for everybody to see. They can check it out anytime, and it's updated regularly. I have a testimonials page where it says a kind word is never wasted. And again, it's got that call to action, book a free call. And on there, I've got a scrolling banner of clients and their testimonials. On my about page at the bottom, I have a section that says where I've been featured. And the way I've done this is it is a blog post summary. And so every time I get featured on something, I post it on my blog. And then I've put in a summary block there that pulls in only posts that have been tagged with the category for features. And then it automatically fills those in as they come up. I have another section I just have throughout the website. Periodically, I'll have places that's I've copied and pasted testimonials. I have the numbers one. This is something that I have on one of my pages, and it tells you just who my business is in numbers. Been in business for over 3 years, 4 as of this week. I've designed over 50 websites, and in my whole tenure throughout my various versions of my business, had about 100 clients and thousands of cups of coffee. And that one's just for fun, but it again humanizes me for my clients. And so those are just a few of the ways on my website. I also have a blog. I don't really have logos of notable clients on mine, but I would do that with specific clients. I'm actually doing that here with Shamala. We have on her website, we've got this gorgeous section of all of her partners that she's worked with in her business. And it's just another way to provide that proof of like, other people have trusted me with their business. You should too, right? That's what we're saying here. And finally, no pictures of you. This is something I see a lot. If you are a service-based business, or even if you're a small product-based business, people, again, want to buy from people. So you should be all over your website. I tell my clients that they need to give me a minimum of 3 pictures. I want one on their homepage. I want one on their about page. And then I want one on either their blog or their contact page as a minimum, preferably more. Like I would love to put at least one picture of them on nearly every page of their website, because it's a reminder of, and if you can do it in different poses, different outfits, it reminds people, it makes you just seem more like a three-dimensional person, as opposed to this like cutout on a screen, right? So that's that. Does anyone have any questions before we get to the next stage? I've lost my little chat box. I might have closed it. There we go. I do have some questions here. Okay. Oh, yes. Thank you. So apparently the CEO of Articulate Marketing does a lot of really good webinars. If you're into copywriting or that type of kind of content marketing and SEO and these types of things, really good, valuable information. Does the homepage photo have to be above the fold? No, it doesn't have to be. Now, it's up to you where you want to put it. So for those of you who don't know, above the fold means what you can see when you very first go to a website, right? So for example, my website, I don't actually have a picture of me above the fold, I don't think. Oh, I do. I do. I've redesigned it. I didn't used to, because I wanted myself to be a little bit more front and center. But a lot of other clients, like this is a website template that I've just finished. And oops, come on, I took my whole window over for you. This is a website template that I've just finished, and there is no picture of the person above the fold. It's right below. And so it's kind of up to you where you want to put it, but you absolutely should have a picture or two of yourself on your homepage. Any other questions? Feel free to unmute yourself if you do have questions. No? All right. So those are like I said, just the mistakes that I see quite a lot on websites. They range from things that are going to help you, but all of them are going to make your audience, community, customers feel like your website is more inviting, more clear, and easier to purchase from, right? So that's kind of the end of the day, what you're trying to do with your website. It's your corner of showcasing your expertise and selling. So I'm going to talk a little bit about my templates, and then we're going to raffle a few of them off. So I have 4 Squarespace templates. So I want to say, let's see if I can just, if you want to make all of this a whole hell of a lot easier, I have designed 4 custom Squarespace templates with you in mind. I have a shop full of thoughtfully designed templates designed for service providers. Each template is inspired by one of the places I call home. So they're all different places in Oregon that are really significant to me. They are ready made for you and have resources to help you through the sticky bits, copywriting help, policy creation, and it's just so good. So how would it feel to know that your website showcases your expertise, like we talked about, is on brand and runs like a well-oiled machine in the background of your business? It took me a while to get here in my own business, and it's so freaking great. And I love it. So what if you could have a beautiful bespoke website virtually overnight? If you didn't have to feel overwhelmed with the prospect of designing a new website from scratch or feel like you're winging it, I've created these because I know that's possible, and I want it to be super duper easy for you. You don't have to start from scratch to be able to achieve your dreamiest website, and you can have a website that feels clean, functional, and totally you. That's what I've created my Squarespace templates for. The features, they come pre-installed, so they're completely designed. They're customizable. You can update your own colors, fonts. You can, obviously, you'll swap out photos, services, these kinds of things pretty easily on them. I've also, throughout the website, provided prompts to help you with your copywriting. I've also created a tutorial vault with loads of videos in there, super well organized, showing you exactly how to customize the template to your liking. There's no code required. However, there is code in the website because I wanted to make them really unique and not like something you can just get off any Squarespace shelf. It's not something you'd be able to make on your own if you don't know code, but you don't have to touch the code. I've designed it that way. So earlier, Leanne made one with the Pendleton, which is this one. So she's made her own website and she says she would 100% recommend my templates. The Pendleton template was so easy to use and beautiful for her. The features were perfectly aligned with her needs. She said it was so great to have the opportunity to ask for help. So my templates, I'm not sure I said that. I did not up here. They customer support. They come with 30 days of support from me. So you have access to me via email anytime you need a question, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible, usually within about 1 business day. And so let's raffle a couple of these templates off. Before I do, real quick, I just want to show you them because they're so pretty. So this is the Savi, and this is the newest one. It's a gorgeous minimalist minimalist theme, and it uses some of Squarespace's newest features, like these gorgeous drop downs, custom image shapes. Before I used to have to do these with code. And so it's just stunningly designed. Again, it's got stuff built in automatically, social proof, these things that we talked about, testimonial sliders. It's fully designed for you that way. We've also got too many other websites I've designed. That's where we're at. Okay, so we've got the Seaside. So this one was designed after the town I grew up in, spent summers in with my mom. And again, no image really above the fold, but it's got this gorgeous, sideways text, but it's searchable, like it's actual real text. It's not an image. Just these really fun, bright vibes. Again, social proof, these things that we talked about. And it's got a blog and all this stuff in here, which I've created these nice search categories and all sorts of stuff for you in here. We've got the Portland, which I think is one of my favorites. I went to uni in Portland, lived there for years, and it's just really bold, slightly funky, and still very clean, which I really like. And this one is designed for podcasters, but again, it's really easy to switch between podcasting and blogging in Squarespace. So this is easy enough to switch it back to a blog. And finally, the Pendleton. Both the Pendleton and the Savi have custom blog sidebars, which is something that you again have to do with code in Squarespace 7.1. So just as another fun note, okay, wait, how do I get back to the Pendleton? There we go. So the Pendleton is named after my hometown. This is where I grew up. And it's got a really fun sliding banner, which you can put a few different calls to action in, a few different pictures. It's got these side-by-side sections, which are again done with code. You can't do them naturally in Squarespace. A list for your services, another place for testimonials, an Instagram block there. The others have them probably on the homepage, a place to schedule a consultation. And again, that custom blog with the sidebar. So there's been so much work, so much thoughtfulness and love put into each of these templates. I really designed them after, again, making about 50 plus other websites for clients. And I love them. So whether you are looking for a website now, maybe you need one in the future, or you just know someone who wants one, please keep me in mind because I've had so much fun making these. I'm glad you love this, the Savi. Me too. It's my newest. I think I can't ever decide between the Portland and the Savi for my favorite, but okay. So we are going to raffle off templates. So let's start with raffling off the Savi. We'll just do these in order of my tabs here. So I put in all of your names into this random spin thing. It says click to spin. Makes a weird noise. I don't know if you guys can also hear it. Mirren, I think you're on the call.